So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. BRIITE, Bob Robbins. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Volume's okay, all right. So welcome to BRIITE. For anybody who's not been here before, I don't know how many there are of that, just the goals of BRIITE, what we're trying to do. The real point of BRIITE is getting people to know each other and talk to each other. It's not just a social group or a spit and whittle group. The idea is that those of us in this business tend to have problems that are similar to each other, and the more we know other people that have got similar problems, the more we've got someone we can call, we can contact, we can invite down when we're facing some kind of IT issue. So this is what we're trying to do, and it's been going on since 2001 as a result of an ad hoc gathering that happened at Fox Chase Cancer Center back in the spring of 2001. The goals are really interactions among participants at the meeting, and we consider that the most important outcome of a BRIITE meeting is not what happens in the meeting itself. It's something happens a week, a month, 6 months later when people that got to know each other at BRIITE had a hallway conversation or participated in the same breakout group get together on the phone and say, let's work together on solving this problem, or maybe you can give me some advice that would be useful to me. That's what BRIITE is all about. There are lots of other meetings where people get up and give presentation after presentation of what wonderful things they've done to implement this or solve that problem or develop this informatics program. This is IT professionals whose job it is to support a production IT environment in a research setting, and what we need to do, what we need to know to work effectively with each other and deliver the goods to support the mission of our organization. Like I said, it started as a one-time ad hoc gathering to exchange ideas. For a while, it was happening twice a year. Pulling off this kind of meeting twice a year is hard. So we've got back to once a year, and in 2009 we kind of ended up focused at holding the meeting in St. Jude's in Memphis because 2009 is when the economy went weird and everybody's travel budget went into a very unpredictable state, and the folks at St. Jude are capable of running one of these meetings and keeping the budget in the black whether 20 people show up or 80 people show up, and that's why we focused on St. Jude for a while. But we got a lot of requests to take it back on the road. People liked an opportunity to go other places and interact with local staff that can. Right, yeah, so much you can do in Memphis. How many times can you go to Graceland, right? This is the subject this time. What now? Great opportunities, greater challenges. We always seem to have greater challenges coming. Moore's Law delivers technology and new demands take it away. So it's bigger, faster, more expensive constantly. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to have a couple of plenary presentations this morning. Then we have lunch in the foyer. BRIITE meetings are characterized by dynamic, self-organizing breakout groups. So this afternoon, you will decide what the breakout groups are, what the subjects are, and we'll go hold the breakout groups. Each breakout group will need to name a speaker who will then Friday morning report back. And Friday morning, the first thing, we'll decide, do the breakout groups want to continue? Do they have anything they want to wrap up, or are we done? Again, this is part of the dynamic nature of a BRIITE meeting. If somebody says they want to continue, we'll continue. If everybody says we're done, we just want to talk, then we'll start with the reports from the breakout group. We also have a session that we call the Tech Exchange session, which is when anybody in the room is invited to share something that has gone on in their environment. We call it things that work and things that didn't. Sometimes the lessons learned of things that sounded really good, the marketing sounded good, the ad copy sounded good, the demo sounded good, but in our hands it didn't work. Or something unanticipated came up. Like I recall one time when people first started upgrading major generation in Cisco gear, what they hadn't noticed from the specs was that the power requirement and the heat load had doubled for the same number of network ports. And so the first group in BRIITE to do this discovered that every one of their wiring closets had a insufficient power and insufficient cooling, and that had not been in the budget. And so sharing that at a BRIITE meeting meant that a lot of other people got to avoid that surprise when they did that kind of upgrade. So that's the goal of the Tech Exchange sessions. The talks, I'm going to yammer on a little bit about big data and whether it's a buzzword or actually something. We're going to hear from Warren Kibbe about where NCI and NIH are going on this. John Speakman is going to talk about real disaster recovery. For a lot of people, disaster recovery is theory. But if you get hit smack on by Hurricane Sandy, you've got a disaster recovery story to tell that isn't hypothetical. And then Matt Trunnell from the Broad is going to talk to us about some of the things that are coming on. It's actually almost kind of a big data issue of what happens when the data gets big enough that you really need to start rethinking what's going on. So that's BRIITE. There we are. And then now it's time for me to kick into the next presentation. So does anybody have a comment or a question before I find the next one to start?